What's up, Sports Talk Detroit? In this video, I'm going to, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm going to tell you why the Detroit Lions should not draft Aiden Hutchinson. This is hard. I'm a Michigan fan. Please, if you're a Michigan State fan, don't turn off the video. But I am. I'm a Michigan fan. I'm a Lions fan. And don't get me wrong, everything in me wants this to work. I dove deeper into the film. And I really said to myself, okay, because I didn't dive into the film with Hutchinson because I watched every game this year that he played. And I'm like, I don't need to do that. And if you've seen any of our mock drafts, if you haven't, go check them out. I took him with the number 2 pick when I didn't make a trade with that number 2 pick. We just had our guest on, TJ. He took Aiden Hutchinson, even though he's a Michigan State Sparty. But I jumped in and I looked at the film, and all of a sudden I realized, I don't think this is the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. Let me tell you why. He's 6'5", 265. He has good size for a defensive end, but I'm going to focus on the things he doesn't do well, and even the things that he's perceived to do well that maybe don't go over as well in the NFL. So number 1, he can get too upright off the snap. This will expose his chest, and while this was okay in college, especially when they were running RPOs and things like that, he has a tendency to stand straight up. It can help him read the play, but then he's at a position where he can't be as explosive when he needs to react. And while he is an explosive athlete, he doesn't have elite explosion at that size. So sometimes I think with the speed of the NFL, this could really be a struggle for Aiden if we drafted him, especially at number 2. The second reason I wouldn't draft Aiden is he will occasionally lunge into offensive tackles. And so what happens when you see this is he's a guy that I noticed a lot of his sacks were when he got matched up with a tight end, when he got matched up against a running back or fullback, or honestly, it was just a weird scheme that rolled the quarterback in his direction. He didn't have a lot of quick sacks against offensive linemen. And I think the reason for this is my third reason that I am against drafting Aiden Hutchinson with the number 2 pick, which is his subpar hit flexibility. So if you go and watch the tape, go watch 2021 highlights of Aiden Hutchinson. If he is lined up and it's one-on-one against a tackle, one of two things happens. Either it's against a subpar tackle and he can bull rush him, or he will run around the tackle. He doesn't get that good hip bend in there, so he doesn't cut the corner there. He runs past the tackle and then cuts back upfield to go after the quarterback, which essentially amounts to a coverage sack. And it's not something that's going to work for him against NFL tackles. That's how he would do it. This is different from an elite pass rusher, a guy like Von Miller or the Bosa brothers, where they can turn the corner, they can drop their hips a little bit, they can drop the shoulder, they can get around and get the sack right there. I'm going to be putting out another video on Kayvon Thibodeau where I'm talking about how he has this elite ability to sink the hips down, to go around. And I would argue when you look, yes, Aiden Hutchinson had more sacks this year, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sure if you put a stopwatch on it, his time from snap to sack was more, probably by a half a second, than Thibodeau's was. So here's kind of why I'm changing my mind. I watched Hutch, like I said, dominate in the Big Ten all year. 14 sacks, 15 sacks. I'm not exactly sure what it was. I also watched Hutch get dominated against Georgia. He wasn't a factor. I saw him will his team to victory against Ohio State, and then I saw him almost disappear against Georgia. And I think this is one of the big things that he struggles with. When he is not the superior athlete, which in the NFL, I don't think he will be as often. I mean, isn't that an obvious, right? He's going against better athletes. So when he's not the superior athlete, does he have the size and the strength at 6'5", 265 to use a bull rush and be successful against NFL tackles? And I don't think he has the ability to do that. Also, when I look at him in the scheme that the Lions will put him in, he either needs to set the run on the inside, which I don't think he's big enough to do. You know, the idea of what Trey Flowers does, or even Levi can put and be there because we have the 3 down linemen. But is he quick enough to stand up? Is it obvious when he's standing up on the edge that he's rushing the passer because he doesn't have the ability to cover well in space when he has to drop back in coverage? And that was one of my other negatives, is he's not a particularly smooth athlete in space. He can read what's happening quickly, but getting his body to get there quickly isn't at this elite level. I'm not saying Hutchinson's not a great player, and I'm not saying he won't be a great player. I just don't think he should be taken at number 2. I think he's not there yet. He's too small to play inside. He's too slow to drop back in coverage. And if you want a guy that's just an elite pass rusher, like what we told Harris to do last year, I'm not saying Harris is an elite pass rusher. Calm down. Don't hit me with that comment. You can miss me with that. But he is a guy that got 8 sacks because they just told him to rush the passer. If we want a guy just to rush the passer, I don't know if Hutch is your guy. I just don't know if he's your guy. So that's kind of where I've landed on Aiden Hutchinson is, do I think he is a good defensive end? Yes. If we end up taking him, will I be overly upset? No. But I will be nervous. And I think at this point, with the number 2 overall pick, I'd rather us trade back a few spots and get another talent that might be even more elite at their position than just to reach and say, we need a pass rusher and Aiden Hutchinson's the best one available. I don't think you do that with the number 2 overall pick. You say, well, he's the best available at this position. No, you need to get the best player. And I just don't think he's there. I'm so sorry. I hate to say it because I love Hutchinson. I love what he did for U of M, but being a great college defensive end doesn't mean you're going to be an equally great NFL defensive end. And there's certain things that I see out of him where it might be just enough to make the difference, and he just will be a satisfactory defensive end. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I think he's going to have a long NFL career, but I don't think he is the immediate difference maker, playmaker that the Detroit Lions need in order to shore up that defense and get pressure on the quarterback. I just don't think it's it. So with all sadness, I say it, go Lions. Maybe Thibodeau's the option.